Hello again. Today's video is not an entire project, but merely a step within a project. And I get a lot of queries about this because it's difficult at a hobby or small shop level to duplicate a feature of a certain type of pipe. And I'll jump in here. This is the Patient. It's an early 20th century EK model Dunhill that's in exceptional condition. The stamping is razor sharp. It's got the morph blast thing going on that they often did in those early days. Highly desirable. The problem is somewhere lost to history, we don't know why, it was re-stemmed very heavy-handedly with a kind of a duckbill profile, unmodified slot type of thing. So the owner of this pipe wants to make it look the same way it did when it first was produced. And that requires something that Dunhill invariably incorporated into their execution at the time this pipe was made. It has since changed, but in the early ones it is a dead giveaway if it's not there that the stem is a replacement. And what I'm talking about is this 45-degree angle at the base of the tenon where it meets the shank or the stem face. That has to be 45 degrees and razor sharp on the top and the bottom of the little slope. Now, modern pipe tools and most companies have a cutter that leaves a smoothly rounded radius. And then they just use a carbide insert and can cut them all day, not a problem. This came about for reasons I won't go into. It's just arcana for historians, but they had a type of machine there that would do this quickly and easily, and they don't even do it this way anymore. They stopped a few decades ago. But as many manufacturing quirks later become hurdles for collectors or repairmen and are used to identify legitimate specimens. It could be cars, knives, whatever. There's often telltales that experts look for to determine authenticity. So we're going to do what it takes to make this pipe look exactly the way it did on the day it was made, and that means we've got to get that. Well, obviously you can see I already have. This has been cut, ready to go, and all is well. So that's the backstory. Here's the reason for the video is I get asked frequently how to make that 45-degree cut. It's not as simple as it looks using hobby or home machinery. And here we go. Normally, well, let's see. Let's start with a picture. What we're going to end up doing is cutting where you see the heavy black line, cutting that to that much where there's like a stair step in this, and you can take as many passes as you like using a tool like this one. This is just a carbide insert, common type of thing, and you just make as many passes as necessary to get this within about 4/1000ths, 5/1000ths of an inch of where you want it, and leave that little step for reasons that'll be apparent here in just a second. And then you make a second shaving pass using a specialized tool. And by specialized, I mean you can't buy one of these, you must make one. And it's difficult to see that in real size wise, so here's a diagram of it. It's slightly exaggerated for clarity, but you get the idea. The arrows here indicate the contact area. And you, by the way, these cutting tools are sold, high-speed steel or tool steel, that are just that, what you hold in your hand, and you can modify the shape however you like. In this case, it's somewhat complex, and I can't get this thing to reflect just right here, but in any event, it's got to both be undercut on the top and the sides and have a radius here that is basically continues right up to the edge, but not quite, of the 45-degree cut. And then the opposite on this side is it must be smoothly radiused away from a short distance level area here. And that is so that when you make this a sweep cut, this shaving cut, the only way I have found to do it, now there might be people who are capable of this, by other methods, but the only way I've had success doing this is once you're down to the shape of the heavy lines here, you take this guy and go straight across, and you're just shaving it. You bump up into this little step here and it'll nip that right off. And then you get the face of the stem to cut smoothly by retracting it like so. Now I tried in early days to have a blade that just would fit down there, but I kept getting tear out and galling and stuff I didn't get a smooth face here. Now, a large machine and the exact right RPM and yada yada, you probably could come up with a way to do that. I found it's easier, in my case anyway, to have this one tool that it just went down the line. You bump this little step here. Now, the reason for leaving that little extra step is so that you don't have to push or cut too deeply into the face, just a few thousandths, and then you retract it straight out like so. And that guarantees a perfect 90 degrees, of course, because it's rotating. So anyway, that is it. There is no insert that I know of that has a 45-degree step in it or angle in it. And you obviously cannot grind your own carbide. And special ordering such a little tool would be possible, but it would cost you far more than normally. Inserts are quite inexpensive, just a few dollars each, but if you wanted custom made ones, it'd probably be a minimum order of however many dozen of the things, and you're only going to use a handful in your life. So this is the way to go. Grinding this shape is really going to be your only challenge. If you do it on a stone style grinder, be very careful of overheating and continually cool as you're grinding it. I find it's much easier on a belt grinder of the right type because they run a lot cooler, and you can get the surface of the metal to be mirror smooth, which is necessary to get a shiny, smooth finish. If you could cut all the angles on this thing perfectly, but left grinding marks on it, it would not do the trick. You would then end up with a stem that was perfectly shaped, but had slight scratches in it, which wouldn't matter much on the tenon here. You could polish those out, but it would absolutely matter on the face of the stem. There's no realistically good way physically possible to polish the face of this without messing up the very thing that you just worked so hard to create, that little 45-degree step. If you start polishing on this, that changes the base of where that little 45-degree slope is, and it becomes blurry, and that would be a giveaway that it's not authentic. So anyway, that's it. We're not going to get into the shop and actually do stuff, because the way I do things is not the same as the way you do or anyone. Everybody's got their own method to achieving these things. So in this type of instance. It's just explaining how I do it, and you engineer it backwards to your own shop and requirements and so forth. And that's it. A final word, I did notice, this is totally unrelated, that in reviewing a couple of videos of my own, that advertising has become peppered throughout this stuff. And I just want to pass on, that has nothing to do with me. In fact, when I set up the channel, on the checklist of stuff, I specifically said no ads, none of that. Didn't want to go there. However, YouTube can do what it wants, and apparently they have decided, for whatever reason, with no explanation, I got sent no message or anything else, that they're going to be jamming ads on the beginning or the end of some of these videos for who knows what, nothing to do with pipes. But anyway, I just want you to know that was not a change of my personal policy or the earlier decision. So that is it. Take care, and talk to y'all later.